So basically, the product, when it says the word product, that's the answer to a multiplication problem. Okay? You might want to write that in, the answer. And then this on the next line it says, see if it will be greater than, less than, or equal to the second factor. What is a factor then? Talia? In this case it's a second number, but what's a factor, I'm asking? Yes?
They divide the problem?
No? Dylan?
A number equal to it?
No? Let me show you something. This is a basic multiplication problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
This number right here is called the product. These two, yes.
Miss Parrott said that she won't be able to make it today.
Yeah, I got her email.
Yeah, she said you didn't reply, so she didn't know if you got it. So.
All right, thanks. Okay, so 3 times 4 makes 12. These are both factors. Okay? So you may want to, I want you to write this on your paper, what I just did here. Write 3 times 4 equals 12. Label the product, label the factors. You need to know what those words mean. So if I asked you what a factor is now, what would you tell me?
4, 3.
Well, that's for 12, but what is a factor? Any old factor.
Oh, for any number times something?
Okay, a number you multiply by something else, right? So a factor is something you multiply together. A product is the answer for that. Now, we have to predict whether x will be greater than, less than, or equal to 6 for problem number 1. I'm going to show you the super easy shortcut. Are you ready?
Yeah.
It says, is x greater than, less than, or equal to 6? So for that, put a little note and an arrow. Look here. Exclamation mark. So if you want to know whether this is going to be greater than, less than, or equal, you have to look at the other number, the 4/5. And you have to decide if it is greater than, less than, or equal to 1. I know that's kind of squished in there, but I need you to write all that in. So look here. Decide if it is greater than, less than, or equal to the number 1. That's what we're comparing it to, 1. Well, what do we know about fractions? How do I know if a fraction is bigger than 1? Yes?
If the numerator's counter is bigger than the denominator.
Perfect answer. If the numerator is bigger than the denominator, that's more than 1 whole, isn't it? Well, look at 4/5. Is the numerator bigger? No. So that's not bigger than 1. How would I know if a fraction is equal to the number 1? I saw your hand first. Go ahead.
It would have what the number the denominator is, it would have the same for the numerator.
They'd be equal, right? So you'd have 10 over 10, or 9 over 9, or 7 over 7, or 8 billion over 8 billion, right? But in any case, the top and the bottom will be the same. That's how you know it's 1. Is that what we have here? How do I know if a fraction is smaller than the number 1? Kylie?
It's like 4/5.
Yeah, but what makes that, how do we know that's smaller than 1?
Because the top is bigger than the bottom.
So the top is smaller than the bottom, right? So, for the 4/5, we know that is less than 1, right?
Yeah.
So, we are going to put less than right there. Whoops, I put that the wrong way, didn't I?
Yeah.
Less than, it goes this way. Compute means solve. Alright. Well, let's take a look at the second one here. Number 2. We're only doing the predictions first, and then we're going to solve these in a minute. Okay? So, for number 2, it says predict x is greater than, less than, or equal to 6. Again, we look at what? The other number, right? It's comparing it to 6. Let's look at the other number. Is that greater than 1, less than 1, or equal to 1?
Greater than 1.
That is greater than 1. So now we say x is greater. Just like that. Okay. And the last one. Talia. So if it's the same, what sign do I put? Equal sign. X equals 6 because 10 over 10 is 1. And we know that 1 times 6 makes 6, right? So it's going to be equal, same. Alright. So now when it says compute x, what we need to do on all of these is solve. So off to the side somewhere, we're going to solve all these. Well, number 3 is pretty easy cheesy. We said 10 over 10 makes 1, right? So 1 times 6 equals 6, and we're done. Circle the 6. Well, number 1, it said 4/5 times 6. So how do you solve 4/5 times 6? Yes.
You put 4/5, and then you put 6, and then you put it into a fraction.
How do I make that 6 a fraction, though?
You put a 1 below it.
Put a 1 below it. Okay. So now we can multiply the tops. 4 times 6 is 24 over 5. We better simplify. How many 5s can I take out of that 24? 4. So 4 wholes. And then how many fifths would I be left with? Yeah, 4. 4 and 4/5. Now, did that match our prediction? Is that 4 and 4/5 less than 6?
Yes.
Yes, 4 and anything is less than 6, right? Well, what about the second one here? It says 1 and 1/9 times 6. What's the secret trick we got to remember here? How do I multiply 1 and 1/9? What? The L trick. Very good. So 1 times 9 plus 1 is 10/9 times 6 over 1. Oh, we can simplify. Very good. How do I simplify that? Yes.
You can divide 9 by 3 and then divide 6 by 3.
So divide by 3, I get 2. Divide by 3, I get 3. Now, what happens?
You multiply.
So 10 times 2 is 20 over 3. Well, that simplifies, right? How many 3's can I take away from 20? Nicole? 6 of them leaves me with how many thirds? 2 thirds. 6 and 2 thirds. All right. So guess what you're going to do on 4, 5, 6? The same thing. You're going to look at the other number to compare it first, then you are going to solve them. Any questions? If you can work quietly with a partner, I don't mind if you work with partners.